Hey y'all, Noah. Everyone who reads must converses the channel. Let's see what's going on here. All right. Seems like I was having a little. I got this set up, right? Got the whole live set up. And then right when I click to start, the program closes. I was like, what? What is happening? So let's see if I'm live right now. I hope so. And happy Sunday, y'all. Nice to see everybody. Yep, we got a few here. Yes. All right. Let's see how it sounds. You guys let me know. How does it sound on your end? I'm getting some good sound and looking clear. So, thank you for coming by. Happy Sunday. All that kind of good stuff. Hope y'all's reading is going well. Let me know what you're getting into. And feel free to say hey in the chat, all that kind of stuff. So, hey, Paulie. Happy Sunday, bro. Yeah, man, it's been a wild reading week for me, simply because the Avatamsaka Sutra is so mind blowing. It is the most expansive and just I want to say complex, though it's not really complex. There's just a lot, right? It's infinity and infinity in application. This kind of idea. We'll get to it a little later on. First, I want to keep it with some recent acquisitions. Hey, illiterate. Happy Sunday. Thanks for coming by. JD in the house. JD says good evening, y'all. But around my parts, it's only about afternoon still. So we are worldwide over here at Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, and books bring us together, right? One author, I'll go ahead and jump in because I'd love to hear more feedback, because these authors are new to me. I haven't read anything by two authors that I'm about to speak on first. First one is Gerald Murnane. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it is, I pronounce it like it's spelled, right? um, 20 years ago, when I first arrived on the plains, I kept my eyes open. I looked for anything in the landscape that seemed to hint at some elaborate meaning behind appearances. And I believe that that's the first line. I believe that's the first line of this one here. And I don't know what to expect. Yep. I don't know what to expect here, but I'll just give you the back. Gerald Murnane's The Plains tells the story of the families of the plains. Obsessed with their land and history, their culture and their mythology, and the man who ventured into their world. So, maybe a fish out of water or an outsider story of a kind, right? Shirley Hazard says, a distinguished, distinctive, and unforgettable novel with power of intelligence and imagination. So, all good to me, right? Looks great. Very highly lauded on the Instagrams. Hey, Emily Clem is in the house. Hey, baby, nice to see you. I really don't know much more than that. I don't go for any kind of spoilers, and even people that just are speaking about an author or a work, I might you know read what they say and all that kind of thing. Yo, I have a copy I'm gonna read fairly soon. Cool, Clayton, come on with it. I am actually doing this as a buddy read as well, so you can get on with us if you want, Clayton. I'm reading with Dave over at a Bookish Mank. The Bookish Mank is his handle on Instagram, and you've seen him on my channel before. He was hosting the discussion of Thomas Pynchon when Seth from Waste Mailing List and I got on with him, and we just talk Pynchon for like an hour and go off on it. And then he hosted another discussion that's it's in my playlists that are like podcast style explorations is the playlist, I believe. And it is a classics exploration where we just talk about classics from the Western canon, right? And not specifics, but we do, bring up specific classics, but um, we just talk about classics and our relationship to classics, right? Some of our favorites, things like that for sure. What's up, Working Man Reads? Josh is in the house. Happy Sunday for sure. Got some snow blowing. About to read Oscar Submerges by Zach Tanner. Very cool. Oscar Submerges. Zach Tanner is a Corona Samizdat author and just a freaking fantastic dude. Y'all can see a little bit different in my life today because I have the sun shining through. Just right on my left here is the sun, and I can't stop it. I don't have any curtains or anything like that, so we're gonna have some natural light as well as my lamp and stuff, right? Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great Sunday, and if you've read Murnane or have anything to say about it, please just chime in, because that's the extent of what I know. But it's a very short work, okay? I kind of look at this. This is going to be something like, 100 years, no, Too Loud a Solitude, that Herbal. The sun looks nice, my friend. There you go. Yeah, I was outside already a little bit earlier having some fun. And it's not cold here, and we don't have, snow like you do up there, Josh. So it's just been, pretty mild here, relatively speaking. But you can see here, this book, look at the margins and look at the text. It's just not a long work. We already are down to something like 170 pages. And with those kind of margins and double spacing throughout, and the font is, 14 or 15 point, it's just, there's nothing to it. It's going to be a quick read, but I'm hoping something like Too Loud a Solitude, where it's a book lover's kind of book, right? Just in love with language and telling and storytelling. It's nice out. I'm walking my dog. Cool. Very cool, Clayton. What kind of dog you got? Nice and easy read to get through. That's right. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any big deal. Might read that one throughout the next week, and finish it before the week's up, right? And so that being said, there's another book that's right here on the TBR that's going to be first. The Plains, and then Nobo Daddy's Children by Arno Schmidt. Now, Arno Schmidt is one of those authors that you just can't get your hands on anything by him, right? If anybody knows that has tried, then it's just really, really tough. I don't find Schmidt in used bookstores. I don't even see Schmidt in new bookstores. I don't see books by him in any capacity. Nice Golden Doodle. That's a fantastic mix right there. The Golden Retriever and the Labrador. And then Josh says he got his daughter a kitten on Friday. Well, a new addition to the family. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, Knitting Books, etc.? That's what I'm talking about. Christina, nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. It's been a while since I've seen content from Christina, and it's my fault. I'm not saying you might have put out content and I just didn't see it, because it's just so tough to keep up with all the content creators that I really enjoy, and also have YouTube suggest to me the ones that I enjoy and want to keep up with, but also not throw out its own suggestions of people that I've already kind of, stopped following or whatever, right? Libro Paradiso, is this my boy? I tell you, happy Sunday. I I love your new channel, brother. I was hoping that you would come by today for sure. Illiterate says just found a copy of Nobodaddy's Children myself. Supposedly came from John O'Brien's personal collection. Jeez, that's what I'm talking about. Um, Maybe there's some a book stamp or something like this that can identify that this hour is much better for me. Good. Yeah, I wanted to change it up because Friday evenings are just a little too tough for me in the current state of things. So I wanted to change it up. Sunday is a much more laid back day where we are, just kind of hanging out here at the house. So, and I'm glad to hear that the timing is better. Hey, Alexa, happy Sunday, brother. Yes, Alexa, my Serbian boy. Thank you for coming by, man. Sorry we hadn't kept up so much, but let's do it. Let's catch up. So, Libro Paradiso, a brand new channel, and I'm loving your stuff. You have an oration, a way of speaking here that is just my jam. I love a calculated, slow, passionate delivery of words. Whether that be your own thoughts and feelings about something, or it be a reading, right? But you're doing great videos already. They're very enjoyable. I'm watching, and thumbs up to every single one that you put out. I'm right there on it, that's for sure. So no worries. You just know you keep putting it out there and you're going to get the followers because it's very enjoyable content. It is plain to see your passion for reading, and that's what I love the most, is if people really enjoy reading. My favorite booktubers are those that enjoy their reading, really, really enjoy it, no matter what they're reading, right? It's not about what books they read all the time. It's mostly, and it is all the time, about their relationship to the books that they read. Almost typed Happy Friday. I almost say Happy Friday almost every time. I've been enjoying Corona Summers lately, debating another booktube channel or a revamp of mine. Well, feel free to start up another. I mean, I'll be along for the ride either way, Josh. Corona Summers is putting out fantastic work. I cannot wait for Philip and Jeff to drop their next book. I'm going to be doing some stuff with them to hype it up before it happens. You can be sure of that. Libro Paradiso, I thought about one of your first videos discussing Michael Moorcock when I saw another YouTuber comment on his channel that he didn't like the Elric books because he said they have no hope. That's their charm. That's right. Yeah, what a tragic character Elric is, and I mean, really blew me away when I was young and I read that, because till then I didn't ever come in contact with a protagonist, especially in pure fiction, something fantasy that was so just hopeless and in from birth having a very, very rough time at it and a hard lot in life. And then he gains this magical sword, and you think, wow, he can live now. He can be, healthy and stuff like that. And it turns out that it's this, horrific demon that feeds on the souls of those that he's killing and stuff. It's just like, wow, right? Just wow. JD bought 4 Dulce Schmidt titles. Nice. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago. To get in on Bottom's Dream or get in on Schmidt before the hype, that was the way to go. But I had no idea. My pleasure to share how I'm feeling about it. Let me tell you. The Nobodaddy's Children there is 3 short stories. This is experimental fiction. To anybody who doesn't know, experimental writings. So very cool to go at it in a short story form first, right? See what he's capable of. All the greatest experimental writers, and of course I'm referring to Borges and Italo Calvino, are, utilize the short form, short stories in a very expert way, and that's the way to go. Borges never writing a novel in his lifetime, and Calvino's novels feeling like just glorified, pumped short stories, right? I love it. I love Calvino. So I'm very interested in getting into a new experimental author. Hopefully he, doesn't disappoint, since I'm putting, even without reading, putting him in the same breath as Borges, right? I mean, come on. But a truly witty and innovative writer, reading Arno Schmidt can be addictive. A giant a giant of post-war German literature, Arno Schmidt was enormously important talent in the fictional line of cruel comedy that runs from Rabelais through Swift and Joyce. Or to say it straight out, he's a major European novelist. So this trilogy of short stories traces life in Germany from the Nazi era through the post-war years and into an apocalyptic future. Scenes from the Life of a Faun recounts the dreary life of a government worker who escapes the banality of everyday life under the Nazis by researching the exploits of a deserter from the Napoleonic Wars nicknamed the Faun. Brand's Health deals with the chaos of the immediate post-war period as a writer joins a small community of survivors to try to forge a new life. Survivors is in quotes there. So, Dark Mirrors, the third of the short stories here, and final, is set in a future where civilization has been virtually destroyed, and the narrator feels he may be the last man on Earth until the discovery of another creates new fears. All three of these short novels are characterized by Schmidt's unique combination of sharply observed details, sarcastic asides, and wide erudition. Very cool, right? Very cool. So, he's a smart guy. It takes a certain amount of intelligence to even attempt an experimental work, right? And, the most popular of experimental works, James Joyce Ulysses, House of Leaves by Daniel Lesky, these kind of things, you inevitably run up against the somebody saying that it's pretentious, right? And even things like the Dictionary of the Khazars, and Gene Wolfe's storytelling is, I would say, highly experimental. I mean, you just can't even talk about the plot and things like that. You're gonna get that leveled against your writing, that it's pretentious, but it's gonna be good. I hope. Am I still writing my novel? I have, put it down again. I am very inspired to finish it, but there's another project that came up writing wise, and I'm jumping into that right now. Yeah, Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and you just hear pretentious, in the same vein, or in the same sentence as creative and wonderful. It just, you can't get away from it, because it just takes a level of intelligence to try. I'm not going to tease too much. I'm not going to say anything about it right now, because it is something very short, and it might be something that will even be finished, in a state of finished, by the time the spring starts. So even a month or month and a half, or something from here, and then the novel will be gone through and rewritten. I have looked at it, read, wrote a little bit, but it's just going to take a complete rewrite. So I'm going to have to go chapter by chapter. But this new idea is really, really interesting to me and going to be fun. And whether or not it goes anywhere, it'll be something that I can do and do quickly. And we'll see what kind of product there is. And hopefully that will be the kickoff and inspiration that I need to just finish the novel. And I can't wait. I really can't wait to finish it. Just kind of like I did with my short story there. If you want it, I'm gonna have it. I'll just send it right to you. Right, even my novel. So when I'm putting stuff out there, it is for the community and I want people to read it and to get feedback and to hear what their experience of it is. So I will show another book that I picked up. This was another one that I picked up off of a gift card that I had gotten, an eBay gift card. So I just threw this book in there while I was getting some new, screen protectors for phones and stuff like that. Zelda got a new phone to play with from Christmas, so I had to get a case and screen protector for that kind of thing. And I wonder if anybody out there has come in contact with Dr. David R. Hawkins. He wrote a book called Power and Force. Maybe a more popular book is The Eye of the Eye, from which nothing is hidden. Dr. David R. Hawkins, and also Healing and Recovery. And you can see they all have this kind of dualistic covers. It's very cool. They're easy to spot in the bookstores. And I have read some of David R. Hawkins, but I'm not interested in all the detail and all the process of getting where he got to in his spiritual perspective. I want just the spiritual perspective. I want what his perspective is, and then support it as you give it. You can support it afterwards. Not I haven't been so interested in just like reading his stuff. But a buddy of mine posts on YouTube, and he doesn't do videos. He doesn't do videos at all. He really does only community posts and all kinds of quotes from as varied sources as philosophical teachers, and the Dhammapada, some of the Buddha, some teachers like Paramahansa Yogananda will be somebody that you'll find on his quotes quite often. But the person that he quotes the most is David R. Hawkins, Dr. David R. Hawkins. And it always just, I just think I got to read more. I got to really get into this person. So I grabbed a reader, right? This is called The Wisdom of David R. Hawkins, Classic Teachings on Spiritual Truth and Enlightenment. David R. Hawkins was a scientist of the mind, of the physical organism, of the human being, and also the mind. So I don't know exactly how he, made the leap out of this observable, measurable, scientific, structured, like just very pointedly scientific, and made the leap to a spiritual, more holistic perspective of the human being. And that's what I'm really interested in, but the kinds of things he says, the quotes, that I've seen over and over, over the last 3 years or 4 years on YouTube from my buddy, just really turned me on. And I'm just like, I need more. So, and they're on point. I mean, they are very perceptive truths and, just things that I've never heard anybody say, right? Things that I've never seen anybody quote except for, in a spiritual text, something like a Buddhist sutra or some other very high level spiritual text. So we'll see. And let's see. I'll give you a little background on David R. Hawkins, MD. Was recognized worldwide as a leading teacher on the way to enlightenment. His extensive background includes 50 years experience in psychiatry. He was an acknowledged leader in research on the nature of consciousness and presented lectures worldwide. Maybe getting on and looking up some lectures on YouTube. There's probably something you could find or whatever, but I'm not too sure of exactly what kind of content is out there. From the foreword, let's give you a little quote from the foreword here. This book is a unique and wonderful resource of teachings from Dr. Hawkins. You might imagine that you're sitting there in his audience, listening and watching, laughing and receiving. So with that kind of, just imagine being in his presence, because it's such a wonderful thing, right? That kind of thing makes me think of teachers like Neville. Right? I love that kind of thing. So we'll see. Okay, so the wisdom of David R. Hawkins also includes one of his last lectures on the most valuable qualities for a spiritual seeker. He developed a map of consciousness, which is makes me think of like Timothy Leary, right? Things like this. I believe I don't want to say too much more because I just don't really know too much. But I'll give you the table of contents. That'll help out a little bit. Chapter 1, moving from ego to service, right? So transcending the self and trying to take a more holistic approach towards life. Chapter 2 is calibration. There's always going to be tweaks and things you can do, right? Chapter 3, spiritual consciousness. Chapter 4, obstacles to spiritual growth. Chapter 5, surrender, a very, very powerful path to, transcending the ego. Chapter 6, truth. Chapter 7, the 9 fundamentals of conscious spiritual growth. I'm sure that meditation plays a big part in his process. I've seen enough to know that I fully resonate with it. Chapter 8, spiritual practices. Chapter 9, enlightened healers. Chapter 10, enlightenment. So actually, that is that's quite the claim, to actually go for enlightenment itself and to not be, skittish about using that term and saying, enlightenment is what I'm talking about here, because, you have the instant backlash there of, well, what's enlightenment then? You know better than anybody else. Okay, why don't you tell us what enlightenment is, right? And of course, something that is infinite like that, you could talk and say things about forever, but as you can explain stuff to people, but you can't make them understand it, right? So it's just a part of something that also makes me feel a little apprehensive towards sharing certain things, because I'm not trying to, be put in that place and having to, put on defense, having to defend my position that I don't need to defend. I don't want to defend it. I'm not, I'm putting it out here for others' benefit, not if you don't resonate with it or you don't see any value in it or whatever, that's fine. Just go, move on. Uh, let's talk about something that you do resonate with about it. Let's talk about something that you do find some value in. And if nothing, well, then it's not for you. Just move on. Go find something that you do resonate with, that does cause you to want to grow. And that's just my my own personal thing. And I don't see anybody talking about David Hawkins except for my buddy on YouTube. That's about the only person, even in years, that I have seen a copy in a friend of mine, another friend's bookshelves, but he had no idea who the person was. Just picked it up on a whim, right? So this week I finished Avatamsaka Sutra, chapter 39. Oh God, this thing is a beast. It's nowhere near as beasty as my red book, Carl Jung, right? But it's a thick boy, 1,600 pages, of which I've read maybe 600 pages of. It is something that it is multiple sutras. The Avatamsaka Sutra is a collection, and it is translated the flower ornament scripture, but it's more pointedly very cool, Christina. Yeah, letting go. Very cool, Christina. See, I knew that my community, my people here, somebody has read it. Somebody's read some Hawkins. So the final chapter in this, chapter 39, is entry into the realm of reality. The title here, the flower ornament scripture, is more, I think more precisely translated as the array instead of ornamentation. It's more the array, but ornamentation works because it's adornments, right? And it's the array and ornamentation of Buddhas in the reality are in everything, in every bit of reality, that there's nothing that the Buddhas do not penetrate, right? So we have just a book where a sutra, a teaching where you can't even talk about something without talking about all of it, okay? And by that I mean, you look at something like in Buddhism where the Eightfold Path, okay? Just to take one, for example, is right concentration or right livelihood, right? And in right concentration, there is a way to concentrate your mind on anything, right? And on everything. And it doesn't mean that you're pulling away from interacting or being in a situation where a lot of things are going on or something like that, right? You would still be able to remain concentrated in the way of your mind staying on task or something like this, not randomly finding something interesting and you unconsciously that happening, and then you kind of snap out of it and say, oh well, I was supposed to, now I didn't hear what that person said, or I didn't hear an instruction in this way or that, or just being out of the moment, right? Concentration is a lot more about being in the moment, whatever that moment is. And then the Avatamsaka Sutra, it wouldn't just explain that kind of thing, but it would illustrate it very very exhaustively in every way that you can practice concentration. All the different instances that your mind could be in, situations or circumstances, and the concentration used in that kind of situation or circumstance. And everything is like that in this sutra, where you're just overwhelmed by oceans of concentrations, oceans of virtues, oceans of practices. And it's just a really amazing and unbelievable thing. And I think of, why would you have, I mean, even when you're getting close to the end, it's like, why is there, how can there still be 4 pages expounding the benefits of spiritual benefactors? And what good is that? Like what is the reason for this? And I just thought, this is the kind of thing that beings of Buddhist practitioners wish for and hope for, wishing and hoping to be born in a land in a future lifetime where all you do is hear the Dharma, all you do is hear the Buddha, you hear Buddhist teachings, all you do is hear Bodhisattva practices, and you might be a something ethereal, even something like a scent or a flower, or who knows. The end of the Avatamsaka Sutra is completely mind-blowing. You come in contact with a figure, the Bodhisattva universally good, Samantabhadra. And I've come in contact with Samantabhadra before. Samantabhadra is a very powerful and prominent figure in Mahayana Buddhist thought, even so much that in this edition of the Lotus Sutra, which is my favorite, if you've followed on the channel, this is the edition that I've read the most and actually resonate with the most. But there's 3 sutras here, and the 3rd sutra is the Sutra of Meditation on the Bodhisattva Universal Virtue. Now, that's the translation of Samantabhadra. They're translating that as universal virtue, whereas in the Avatamsaka Sutra, his name is translated as universally good. I dig the Avatamsaka Sutra translation better with that name translated, because there's something about being worthy where a being like us, just a normal, not unenlightened being, we would never be able to make the claim and just know that we are worthy, right? That's something you have to take on faith. That's something you have to believe into yourself. You have to believe that you're worthy. And that kind of thing, Bodhisattva universal virtue, has also been translated like that, universally worthy, Bodhisattva universal worthy. But we've all kind of had we all have our path, right? Some of them are tough and more obstacles to growth than others. But in the Avatamsaka Sutra, when we're talking about when it talks about and it expounds on the Bodhisattva universal good, it's a lot more accessible to the unenlightened mind, that it's talking about good practices of good in any situation. And it really takes very little intellectualization, very little, value placement, figuring, you don't have to figure it out to know what is the good thing to do in a given situation. A lot of times that kind of thing is going to be very plain and apparent, right? So I think that with that, it's very much more beneficial in that translation. And we'll get into it a little bit. I'm going to do a video on the Avatamsaka Sutra itself. So I'll dig into it and expound on that kind of thing a lot more and formulate my thoughts before I just start talking. So as to make it a little bit more understandable for somebody who even has never come into contact with this sutra before, or any Buddhist sutras. And of course, I don't recommend the Avatamsaka Sutra here. I don't recommend this to anyone without previous experience with Buddhist thinking and some sutra study, at least some. The Dhammapada, at least a Mahayana Sutra or two, something like the Lankavatara Sutra, sure, but the Lotus Sutra is probably the most, the one that will get you there the most, bring you to an understanding, or to a place where you can begin to understand the Avatamsaka Sutra here. Also, the Sutra of Golden Light is fantastic. That's a great one for getting to a place where the Avatamsaka Sutra could be something you go for. After that, happy reading. We'll see how that shakes out, right? It's hard to know, what people are ready for, or what to suggest to readers. Some people are interested in Buddhist sutras and don't know where to start. This kind of thing, I just try to do the best I can. Yep. Thank you guys for coming and crushing a little time with me on Sunday. I didn't know if I was going to even go, a full hour, and I haven't gone an hour yet. And so, figure we might talk a little bit more if there's something to talk about. If not, thank you very much for crushing some time with me, guys. It has been very fun. Like to see some friends hanging out, book lovers unite. We are set for an awesome 2024 reading year. Let me tell you, I have a couple of projects on hand. I'm gonna bite off some fiction, and then it's into the Young's Red Book, which I did take down to Atlanta Vintage Books yesterday and had them cover it. So I have Mylar on the dust jacket, feeling a lot happier with that because, a dust jacket that big is, I just think anytime I'm touching it that it could be a bump and I could rip that paper, right? And I definitely don't want that to happen. So now it is fully protected. They had a wonderful selection in Atlanta Vintage Books downtown. They actually had what may be a complete set of the Pali Tripitaka, the Pali Canon, which is all Buddhist Hinayana texts, pre-Mahayana. And it's just spectacular. So I saw that, ain't jumping on it, right here after the holidays or something. But it was awesome to see. And I did pick up another a volume of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't have all of it yet, but I'm missing one volume now. of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, then I'll have the complete Alan Moore's complete League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then I'll read that. That's what I want to do. And the next video is going to be probably in the Buddhism from a Western Perspective series, talking Avatamsaka. The next reading is going to be Murnane, and then the Plains, then the Red Book. After that, maybe some more Gene Wolfe. After that, maybe some more Harry Crews. There's another friend that's pushing me towards reading some Harry Crews, which I feel like, you know, I already know the person, being a Georgia boy myself, right? I love it. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Happy Sunday. Catch you on the next one for sure. Leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. All that kind of good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one, y'all.